What's up, YouTube? It's ya boy, the Blu-ray Bandit, back once again with another pawn shop haul video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for your best shot at a free digital code. Let's see what I can find. All right, welcome back to the channel. I recently took a trip to Jacksonville where I hit 3 pawn shops. This is the first of those 3. Let's see what I found. This was a Cash America pawn shop. I paid a total of $6.41 for 4 Blu-rays, which is approximately $1.60 each. First up, Prince Avalanche. This is a Paul Rudd and Emile Hirsch film. It fits squarely in the indie drama category. Directed by David Gordon Green. It's a small film about 2 guys. It's been a little bit since I have seen it, so I don't remember exactly what they're doing. For some reason, their job is to walk through the forest and I think mark trees or something like that. I don't remember exactly what the premise is, but it's basically just kind of like a relationship drama between 2 guys. Maybe they're brothers. Again, my memory is foggy on this one, but if you're a Paul Rudd fan, it's a good entry into his filmography, especially if you're looking to experience something beyond his MCU output. This Blu-ray is in great quality. It didn't scan particularly high, but I've never seen it on a pawn shop shelf before. I remember enjoying the film. I'll probably add it to the collection, or maybe I'll sell it. I haven't quite decided just yet. Dream House, starring Daniel Craig, Naomi Watts, and Rachel Weisz. I had never heard of this movie before seeing it on the shelf, so I picked it up, read the little plot description. Kind of seems like a horror thriller, or maybe more thriller than horror, but something like that. The copyright on the film is 2012, so I'm not sure whether this is a bad movie. It's definitely a movie that has been lost to time on some level. It came well after Daniel Craig broke out as 007, so I'm curious to find out whether it's just a decent movie that nobody ever talks about, or one that's capitalizing on the star power of its cast. Oh, with digital code, Blu-ray and DVD. I'm going to be adding this one to the collection for the time being. I'll give it a watch and then decide whether it's going to stay there. Miracle on 34th Street. This is the classic Christmas film, a cherished holiday family tradition. This copy is unwrapped, yet still sealed on the top, so it is brand new. I will be listing it for brand new. I don't remember exactly what it scanned for, but I think it was roughly $7 or $8. I enjoy this movie. It's very well made, but they play it so often on TV that I definitely don't necessarily need it on my shelf. Thus, it's going to eBay to pay for some of the titles in this haul that I plan on keeping. And finally, Grand Prix. This is a classic movie from the late 1940s. I've not seen it, but it's been on my watch list for quite a while. I'm excited to check it out in Blu-ray quality, starring James Garner. I know literally nothing about this, but I'm assuming it's some kind of race car movie, just based on the visuals and the title alone. The details say it's a digital transfer from the original 65mm elements of the greatest auto racing movie ever. We'll see if that claim holds up. Supposedly, it's also a 3-time Oscar winner, although I don't believe it's a Best Picture winner. Thus, I do not have to keep it long-term in my collection. It scanned relatively high, so I will probably resell it to pay for other titles I'd rather keep, but I'm excited to give it a watch. And finally, a verdict. Next up, we have Jack's Jewelry and Pawn. I paid $10.74 for 3 titles, which came out to $3.58 each. A little more than I typically pay. I try to aim for around $2.50 per title. But the 3 titles I got from this pawn shop were titles I've never seen on a pawn shop shelf before. None of them scanned particularly high, but one of them is a title I've been looking for quite a while that will finish out a large collection I've been working on for the past year. Vice, starring Christian Bale, Amy Adams, Steve Carell, and Sam Rockwell. This is the movie based on the real-life politician Dick Cheney here in the U.S. He was vice president to President George W. Bush for 8 years. Also known as the guy who got us into one of the worst wars, pretty much a never-ending war in Iraq and Afghanistan. This movie was Academy Award nominated several times over, including for Best Picture, but it did not win. I enjoy this movie, directed by Adam McKay, director of comedies. He also directed the film The Big Short, which is based on the 2008 financial crisis. The Big Short is a drama with a little bit of comedy mixed in, and Vice follows that pattern as well. I enjoyed this movie when I saw it in the theater. I'm looking forward to rewatching it and adding it to the Adam McKay collection. Any Given Sunday, starring Al Pacino, Cameron Diaz, James Woods, Jamie Foxx, Dennis Quaid, LL Cool J. There are lots of cool, fun actors in this film. It's kind of an inside look at what it potentially might be like to be a coach of an NFL football team, although I remember they did not have permission of the NFL to make this film, thus all the team names are made up. It's an Oliver Stone film, director of JFK and Platoon, amongst others. Although I think maybe he just wrote, no, he directed. He directed Platoon, for sure. He wrote and directed Platoon. Comes with DVD and Blu-ray. I'm excited to add this to my Oliver Stone collection. I've seen it once. It has been years. I don't remember the details, but I'm looking forward to a rewatch and adding it to the shelf. And finally, BFG. This is the title I was super excited to see on the shelf. I probably would have paid twice what I paid for it because this movie in my hands completes my long-running Steven Spielberg collection. This is the last film directed by Steven Spielberg that I do not have, and now I do. It's a kid's film based on the Roald Dahl classic children's book. I do not like this movie. I've only seen it once. I'll probably give it a rewatch just to be fair. Evidently, this used to be a rental. I'm guessing these are Redbox stickers of some sort. I'll have to remove those a little later. On one hand, I'm excited to have this in my hands just to say the collection is complete. I wish it was a more exciting movie than this stinker, but hey, that's the collecting game. And finally, this was Speedy Cash West Side in Jacksonville. I paid $20.43 for 16 titles, bringing them down to $1.27 each. Hell or High Water, with a leftover sticker on top. Seriously, how lazy do you have to be to just not remove the final sticker across the top? Sometimes I don't understand people. This is a movie that I love, starring Jeff Bridges, Chris Pine, and Ben Foster. It's kind of a modern Western. These two brothers are bank robbers, but they're bank robbers with a heart. They're not doing it just for the cash. They're doing it for some other reason. Another sticker I'll have to remove. This is a 5-star movie. According to USA Today, I agree. With digital code, both the Blu-ray and the DVD. If you have not seen Hell or High Water, it's definitely worth a watch. This case has issues closing. I think the snap is actually broken right here. I probably won't replace the case on this one because other than the snap not fully functioning, it's pretty clean. It's probably just going to sit on my shelf. I will be adding it to the collection. This is a double feature of The Squid and the Whale and Running with Scissors, two indie dramas that I enjoy quite a bit. This Blu-ray is unwrapped, yet it is another sealed copy. Since it is a sealed copy, I would be tempted to list it on eBay, but it scanned pretty low, and I enjoy these movies, so I'll probably just add it to the shelf and someday unwrap it myself to give these a rewatch. Wall Street, Money Never Sleeps. This is the Wall Street sequel starring Michael Douglas and Shia LaBeouf. This is another Oliver Stone movie. I'm trying to collect all of Oliver Stone's movies, but I'm not doing it in any kind of aggressive way. With Steven Spielberg and some of my other favorite directors, I will track down copies of films, pay a little more via eBay sale or Amazon in order to complete the collection. With Oliver Stone, I like him as a filmmaker. I'd like to have all of his films, but unless I get real close to getting there, I'll probably just come across them when I come across them and grab them when the price is right. I've seen the original Wall Street and enjoyed it. I've never seen the sequel, so I'm excited to own this so I can give it yet another digital copy, but this is the kind that you have to have the disc for. So if you've got the disc and you don't have the code, feel free to screen cap this. For the time, I will be adding this to the collection. Check off another Oliver Stone film, both in the watch category and the own category. Another movie I've never seen in Orlando on a pawn shop shelf. Spring Breakers. This is an A24 movie. I believe it was maybe their second release, starring James Franco, Selena Gomez, and Vanessa Hudgens, amongst others. It was directed by Harmony Korine, director of Gummo and the writer of Kids. It's a pretty weird movie, I would say, where James Franco plays a rapper. He's got these young girls around him who help him commit a variety of crimes. With digital code. I already own this movie, and I've sold extra copies in the past. From memory, this one scans at about $5 or $6 on eBay, so I will be reselling it to pay for some of the titles that I plan on keeping. The Theory of Everything. This is a great indie drama starring Eddie Redmayne and Felicity Jones, based on the life of Stephen Hawking. I enjoy this film quite a bit. It's a great historical drama with some awesome performances. The disc and case are in pretty good condition, except for this area right down here where it is absolutely disgusting. I'm touching it, but I shouldn't be. I mean, it kind of looks like maybe a cat vomited on this Blu-ray. I checked the insert. It hasn't touched there. I'm going to give it a bath, see if that will do the deed. If not, I will be replacing the case and adding it to the collection. She's Out of My League. This is a fun comedy starring Jay Baruchel and Alice Eve. This fits nicely in the Seth Rogen pot humor comedy category from the early 2010s, I believe. Maybe the late aughts. I don't remember exactly when this came out, but I remember enjoying it. I enjoyed Jay Baruchel in comedies. I wish he was in more. He seems to be one of the few actors that encircle Seth Rogen that seems to have dropped out of the scene for the most part. It's a little raunchier than most rom-coms. It's definitely rated R, but worth a watch if you like those types of movies. Adding it to the collection. Pirate Radio, from the director of Love Actually and Notting Hill. I've seen this before. I saw it on release, but have not seen it since. But I remember it being a charming movie about some British youngsters, evidently in the UK. At one point, the BBC was the only legal radio signal allowed in the UK, and that meant you were kind of stuck with their programming choices. So people had all kinds of pirate radio stations running at some point. This pirate radio station actually broadcast from a boat in order to keep from being shut down by the authorities. It's a fun comedy featuring a good performance from the late, great Philip Seymour Hoffman. If you like Philip Seymour Hoffman, you should definitely check out this movie. He's really good in it. Again, this is probably another Redbox rental. I'll have to remove that sticker. I'm not sure I will keep this one forever. It didn't scan particularly high. I'll give it a rewatch and then later on decide whether it's staying or going. Glengarry Glen Ross, an absolute classic starring Al Pacino, Jack Lemmon, Alec Baldwin, a bunch of other great actors. This is a boiler room type film where there's a bunch of salesmen. I think they're looking to sell real estate over the phone. It has a legendary monologue delivered by Alec Baldwin. If you've never heard of this movie, you should definitely look into it. It's certainly worth a watch. One might even call it a scorcher. I picked it up just to add it to the... With digital code. Yeah, I picked it up just to add it to the collection. This is a must-have for me on my shelf, and a must-have for any fan of film. The Girl with All the Gifts. This is a lesser-known horror movie from just a few years ago. It's a small-budget, post-apocalyptic movie. I think there is a zombie element to it as well. If you like genre movies, it's definitely worth a poke. You'll recognize a few names like Gemma Arterton and Glenn Close, but for the most part, it's a cast of unknowns. This movie is definitely underseen with digital code. I'm scoring pretty big with the digital codes at this shop. Yeah, if you like small budget horror films, you should definitely check this one out. It's awesome. I'm excited to add it to the collection and give it a rewatch or two. Reality Bites. This is a classic early 90s indie dramedy. I believe it's directed by Ben Stiller. It also stars Winona Ryder and Ethan Hawke. This is a seminal film for Generation X, which I'm not quite in, but almost. I've seen it once. I'm looking forward to revisiting it. I remember it scanned at roughly $10, so I probably won't keep it forever. I'll probably sell it in order to pay for some of the other titles I'm going to keep, but I'm excited to add it to the with digital code. Yeah, I'm excited to add it to the collection. I'm looking forward to giving it a rewatch and reselling it on eBay. Jackie Brown. This is a Quentin Tarantino film and also a movie that completes a collection for me. This is the last Quentin Tarantino movie that I did not own. This one was out of print for quite a while. I believe it recently came back in print. It used to fetch a crazy amount of money on eBay, upwards of $20 to $30 plus. Nowadays it scans at roughly $10, but I will not be reselling it. I will be keeping it and adding it to my collection to finally put a stamp on the Quentin Tarantino filmography. I used to own this on DVD. It was one of my favorites because it had awesome special edition packaging. This one, not quite so much, but it'll do the deed. Own the Moments collection with Whip It and Juno. 2 Ellen Page movies. I bought this before at a pawn shop. That copy was sealed. This one is not sealed. The sealed copy from my memory sold at around $20 on eBay. This one I'm also going to resell. It's scanned at a little bit less, somewhere between $10 and $15. I don't remember exactly. I already own both of these movies. I'd like to own this Space Saver, but the resale value is so much higher than the individual titles for one reason or another. Thus, it must be sacrificed to the eBay gods. Both discs in good condition. There's a little bit of writing right there, I'll note in the listing. But other than that, this one is ready to go. And finally, Dodgeball and There's Something About Mary, another Own the Moments collection. This one scanned at roughly $25. Seems high. I'm definitely going to resell it. I already own both of these movies in individual titles. I'd prefer to keep the Space Saver, but if I can get $20+ for it, it's definitely worth the sale. I have no idea why this one scans so high. This is probably the biggest score I made on my trip to Jacksonville. Again, it's got that writing on the inside. It also is a little banged up on the case right here in this back corner. I don't know if you can even see that, but it's chipped right here. So I will be replacing the case, making it nice and brand new for whoever decides to pick it off my eBay account. All right, 23 titles, including one that finishes out my Steven Spielberg collection and one that finishes out my Quentin Tarantino collection. I paid $35.78 total. Average price $1.55 per title. That brings the total estimated value to $128 for this pawn shop haul. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for your best shot at one of those digital codes. Put that coffee down. Coffee's for closers only. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Until then, bye.